Hi, everyone, and welcome for joining me today. I'm Jolyn, real estate agent with Schmidt Realty Group, and I'm just going to switch to our screen share because today we're talking about adult bungalow villages and things to consider if you're thinking of buying an adult bungalow village. It's not the same as buying a standard home. There's some definite considerations to take into your decision making. So I'm just going to start to share the screen here. And then we should be good to go. So if you're thinking of buying an adult bungalow in the future sometime, then you're in the right place. So we'll get started here. So for those of you that don't know who I am a licensed real estate agent. I do work with buyers and sellers, and I'm also a seniors real estate specialist, which means my specialty is working with 55 plus housing options or choices for those in later stages of life. I previously was a registered nurse and home care case manager, and then I moved into seniors housing. So I've worked with older adults all of my career over 25 years and moved into real estate because as our population is aging, there is a huge need for real estate agents to be a lot more knowledgeable. So I work with those that have some significant health impairments, that are looking at accessibility needs, that just need someone to coach them more along the process, because these are big changes and big transitions that usually happen in this sector of our life. So that's kind of my background. I also own Edmonton 55, where I help individuals navigate housing choices. So today we're going to talk about the different types of adult bungalow villages, types of communities you can see. For the condo type bungalows, understanding unit factors and condo fees, reserve funds and special assessments, and condo document review. And then really understanding what the buying process looks like. So let's talk about the types of adult bungalow villages. So generally, you're going to see most often bungalows, simply because most services are on one level. So there are occasionally some of townhouse villages that might be a two-story townhouse. You might see carriage homes, which is a home on top and a home on bottom. But typically you're going to see bungalows, typically anywhere from 20 to 60 bungalows in a complex, and they might be detached, meaning they're standalone, or they might be attached. So they might be a half duplex, they might be a triplex, they might be classified as a townhouse. And because there's so many different forms of these, it can get kind of hard to search for them. Most people will tell me, well, we know what we're looking for. We're looking for a bungalow village, but we've only found 2 in the area that we're looking for. And it's because it can be townhouse, it can be triplex, it could be fourplex, it could be half duplex. There's so many formulations of these that it kind of can get a little bothersome to find. But then there's type of ownership. So there is bungalow villages where you own your specific property, but the development is managed under a homeowners association, so an HOA. And then most are managed as a condo complex. So I have seen some bungalow villages that manage like a conventional condo, in that there is a lot of common space and a lot of property owned by the condo association, including usually the exterior of the home. And then you own the inside of the unit. And then there is also what's called bare lands condo, where you own the whole unit, the home, interior and exterior, and part of the land, but they may manage some additional services such as lawn care, snow care, things of that nature. So again, all of these have different implications on your costs, your type of ownership, and what to watch for when you're purchasing them. And so that's what makes this kind of overwhelming for some people when we first dive into this. So why would you look at an adult bungalow village? Definitely for those that are ready to downsize, but they want to retain property ownership. They still want to own a home. They're not ready to rent, but they're also not ready for conventional apartment style condo either. They want the more space, they want the deck in the backyard, they want that home-like feeling. The other reason to look into an adult bungalow village is the sense of community, because many of these villages are age restricted, whether it's 18 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus, 55 plus. You tend to develop a sense of community. Everybody knows everybody. You're going to see each other out and about, and you may actually have a lot of social activities depending on the community layout. Many villages are quite social amongst themselves, so it's nice to have those peer relationships, those friend relationships in the same age group as you, while having that sense of ownership. Often for the easier lifestyle, one, most times all your services are on a main floor. And so for aging in place, we look for full laundry, full bathroom, full kitchen, living room, and sleeping area all on the main floor. But also many of these villages take care of the snow removal, the lawn cutting and management. So that it's an easier lifestyle. You can focus on just living and enjoying your home. And then there's that sense of shared maintenance costs, whether it's siding, roofing, the grounds, whatever that may be. You're kind of sharing that cost with that village. So as you look at villages, not only is there different types of villages, but there's different types of community. And so by community, we're talking about what does that village offer? So you're going to see some villages that are just the homes themselves. There is no amenities, there is no common area. You're going to see some that have a shared outdoor space. So they might have a courtyard, they might have a picnic area, they might have a fire pit and gathering area outside that you can either use on your own or that the group will use to congregate for meetings and just social activities. And you may find some villages have actually a social center or community hall or a recreation center right usually at the entrance or middle of the complex. And those might be where they host meetings, they may host coffee groups, they may host knitting groups, they may have pool and billiards, they may have a full kitchen that you can host birthday parties and family celebrations at. So there's really different senses of community, and it's about finding the right one for you and what you're looking for. So let's talk about the homeowners associations. Generally, you have full ownership of that home, that half duplex, that townhouse, whatever it's classified for that complex. Some HOAs will manage lawn maintenance and snow removal. Some HOAs will manage things like paving of the road, paving of sidewalks. I've seen a couple where they manage siding or shingles, but it's definitely a lot less formal structure than a condo association. So sometimes they'll do that yard maintenance, sometimes they'll do home maintenance, and generally it's a monthly or yearly fee. So I've seen monthly fees around $150 per month. I've also seen yearly fees that are $1,500 for the entire year. So they vary quite a bit, but what's important to know is this is not as formal as a condo association, which means things can change. President can come in and change the structure a lot more easily than in a condo association. So it's just something to be aware of. You really want to understand how that homeowners association works and what rules are in place so that you can fully understand what you're purchasing into. Condos are definitely a little bit more of a secure choice, usually come with a little bit higher fees. You still have full ownership of the home or unit, because it might be the whole home, it might be the just interior of the home. Many of them will do lawn maintenance and snow removal, some do not. And sometimes they will do home maintenance. So um, if you have a Barelands condo, usually they do less maintenance of the home. They might have what's called restrictive covenants, in that you must use this type of siding, you must use this type of shingle, just to keep the whole village looking the same. But you decide the maintenance you do and when you do it, oftentimes in a Barelands condo. If it's more conventional condo, then they may cover the windows, the siding, the shingles, and so decide as a group when those get done. But I have seen conventional condos that do very little on the exterior, and I have seen Barelands condos that do a lot on the exterior. So it really does vary, and this is why it's so important to get condo documents as part of your purchase to understand what that will look like. So monthly fees definitely vary for bungalow villages. It's not uncommon to see fees down as low as $200, and I've still seen fees around $500 plus. And a lot depends on the amenities, a lot depends on how they're managing reserve funds and the age of the complex. So when you're purchasing an adult bungalow that's a condo, every village will be assigned 10,000 unit factors, and that gets separated out to each of the individual properties. It might be based on square footage, it might be an equal amount for each homeowner. But the unit factors is what determines your voting capacity, as well as any charges for special assessments in the future. So your monthly condo fee often contributes to your reserve fund contribution. That's your capital expense. That is maintaining, fixing, replacing, and doing things around the complex, as well as your monthly operating costs. So whether that is your lawn and snow removal, whether that is utilities for a recreation hall, and then also a contribution to the condo association insurance policy, not your insurance policy. You still need to have separate insurance on your unit, but you do, as a condo corporation, have insurance on all the common property owned by the entire corporation. So that's what your monthly fees generally go to. Your condo fee may also include access or privilege to any amenities, whether it's a recreation hall. I've seen some with tennis courts and different things like that. So it gives you access and helps with the upkeep of those amenities. Some do include some utilities. They may have negotiated a specialty contract. Quite often you'll see cable as an amenity and utility included in these bungalow villages. Usually you're still managing heat, water, electric on your own. And you want to evaluate how frequently they increase their condo fees, just because that's good historic knowledge to know, have they got it very well managed so that they don't need to do frequent increases, or are things kind of always changing and they need to frequently do increases? Your reserve funds, as we mentioned, is the bank account that holds all the capital costs, so the exterior costs, the repair, the maintenance, and such. So every condo association, whether it's bungalow village or a high-rise condo building, needs to do a 5-year reserve fund study every 5 years, and a structural engineer generally will indicate what needs to be repaired and fixed in the next 5 years and what that cost could be. And so the condo board should be able to plan and prepare for those expenses within their condo fees. If they cannot, within their condo fees, have enough in the bank to pay for those repairs and maintenance, they may have to call for a special assessment. And these may be additional expenses that have been approved by the condo board. and it is assigned to the property based on your unit factors. So everybody might get the same special assessment, or depending on the square footage of your unit or other criteria, everyone may be paying a slightly different amount. And it is important to understand, if you're purchasing a condo, you can purchase special assessment insurance, which will provide you some protection for really big special assessments, usually on the mechanical systems or structure of the homes. So when you're part of a condo association, they are legislated to hold an annual general meeting once a year. That's a very big meeting. There's a lot of decisions that can only be made at an annual general meeting. And then most have a monthly board meeting, but depending on the complex, they may meet every couple months, they may meet every 6 months. It depends on that condo, how they want to run it. When you're working with a housing as a homeowners association and HOA, they're not always legislated to the same degree. They should have some regular meetings, but you might find it to be a little bit haphazard. The nice thing about being involved in a condo to purchase is that part of your offer to purchase is review of condo documents. So it's a long list of documents that the seller must provide to you that has financial statements, reserve fund statements, the bylaws, which are the rules and regulations. You get notes of the last 12 months of board meetings, so you can see kind of what's been going on, any issues, has the board been quickly managing any concerns that come up, and things of that nature. So you get to review those and can decide to purchase or not purchase based off of that. In terms of buying an adult bungalow, there's many ways you can go about it. You can do what's called sign calls. So as you find a village, call the listing realtor, ask to show it and view it. But you need to remember that they are representing just the seller at that point. And so there is information that they do not have to share with you. They do not need to point out things that are in your best interest to know about, because they are representing the seller's best interest. So I always suggest to buyers, get your own independent agent. They'll sign an exclusive buyer representation. That means you get their loyalty, their confidentiality, and their fiduciary legal duty to look out for your money, which is so important. They'll set up search criteria of what exactly are you looking for. And this is especially helpful if you have no idea what you're looking for. It's a really great exercise that I go through with my clients to help narrow down the options for you. We generally do what we call a big day out, where we go to see 3 to 6 usually in a day. And that way you can kind of see them back to back and kind of rank 1, 2, 3 where they sit for you, and be able to compare while everything's fresh in your mind. And an independent realtor is also going to be able to submit your offer, but help you write and craft that offer, looking out for your best interests and negotiate that. So the other benefits of working with an agent is really the neighborhood knowledge, knowing the area, knowing the complex, especially if they've worked with it before, and also marketing knowledge. What has the listing realtor representing the seller said in their listing that is something we need to know of or be aware of? What do we need to watch in photos so that you know what you're viewing before you view it? And really, you're hiring an agent to work out the strategy and negotiation, because that's the piece that makes or breaks a deal. And you get guidance every step of the way. So let's chat about what a typical sales process looks like to buy an adult bungalow village. So a listing's going to go live. The owner's going to have showings. Somebody's going to submit a purchase contract, also known as the offer. At that time, the two sides are going to negotiate the price, the conditions, and terms of that offer. And once they're done negotiating and get to an agreement, it's considered a pending contract. It is considered up for conditions to be reviewed, usually financing and property inspection. Once the conditions get removed by the buyer, then the property is considered sold. but there still may be 30, 60, any other number of days until you actually take possession. So that section in the middle from the offer to condition removal can often only be 5 to 10 business days. A lot happens in a very short time. A lot happens super quickly. And that's where you really want a professional that's going to make sure you haven't missed anything and addresses all the issues along the way for you. So let's look at your timeline. You're looking at buying an adult bungalow. You know, I know we're kind of past in the year, but I love using this timeline that you want to move by September. A lot of people want to move by fall. So to move by September, it means conditions had to be removed in July if it was a 60-day possession, which means the offer got accepted mid-June, which means an offer was made in early June, and the buyer was typically doing research and viewing other properties well before that. So I can most certainly help buyers buy in a very short time frame. Usually about 5 weeks is the shortest time frame if we find something really quick out of the gate. But if you're thinking you need to move by the spring, you want to move by January, try to ideally give yourself 3 to 4 months to start that search, to see what's out there, to get educated on the buying process and be able to compare some different villages. As a buyer, you need to understand your costs, so you will have to do a deposit or down payment, depending on your financing structure. You should purchase and pay for a property inspection because that will catch a lot of the things that you can't see on a showing about the home, about the structure, the maintenance, the big things, the mechanicals in the home. So you do want to be prepared for that. And that can often be a cost of about $450 to $550. If you are using financing, your bank or lender may want you to do an appraisal of the home. So it is a cost to you, often rolled into your financing charges, but that can be around $500. Your legal costs for a purchase can often be around $1,500, $2,500. And if you're moving into a condo complex, if the seller is refusing to provide condo documents, then you may need to purchase some of those documents yourself, but your lawyer will get reimbursement for you from the sale of proceeds. So financing options, this is always a big question, and this is part of where we need to take our time to do our research, because this population is very different often than first-time home buyers who are in a rental situation, just need to give 30 days notice and they move into their first home. Oftentimes, the buyers that I'm working with already own property and are looking to buy a different property, and that buy-sell is one of the most complex real estate transactions. There's a lot of timing, there's a lot of opportunities for mistakes, there's a lot going on. So there are kind of 3 ways to manage a buy and a sell. So you can sell your existing home first, rent or move somewhere temporarily, whether that's with family, friends, or another property you own, and then buy using the cash that you had from your sale. And that's a cash deal. There's a pause because it usually takes you 48 hours after you sell your home to get the funds, and then you might need some time to set up your deal to do your purchase. So there's usually a time lapse there if you're doing a cash deal, unless you already have the cash in your bank and it does not rely on purchasing anything. A sell and buy at the same time can happen. And so what often happens is we do a little bit of looking, we figure out what you want to purchase, then we list the home for sale. And as we get a pending offer on the home, we very quickly that next week go out and purchase something so that your new home you get access to a week or 2 weeks before you actually sell your current home. Confused yet? It's a lot. So with that type, you might be looking at a bridge loan if you've got the appropriate line of credit and income and such with your bank. You might use a line of credit on your existing home to purchase your next home, or you may even do a short-term mortgage. So I always stress with my older adults, still talk to your bank or preferably a mortgage broker that is experienced with people who might just be drawing pensions or retired, because the financing option can be a little bit more complex. Also, if you're thinking of retiring soon, buy before you retire, please, if you think you need to do some financing, because that's a lot easier to do when you have income coming in. And then there are those individuals that don't want to be bothered with showings due to health, due to just transportation. It's hard to get out of the home for showings, or they just don't want the pain of somebody always coming and they have to frequently leave their home. So many of my clients choose to buy a property first. They may do financing, line of credit, or an open mortgage, and then continue decluttering their home, get it ready for sale, sell it. And there might be a couple months lag in between, or we might be able to line it up very quick. But it allows you to get settled in your new place before you sell your first place. So there's a number of different options. There's a number of different financing options, and there is no right or wrong. It's about finding the right circumstance for your situation and working with a real estate agent that understands your goals and what you're wanting to do and timelines, and works with that for you and helps you get that financing to help you with that. When it comes to moving, you do not need to move on your own. Please know services that can assist you. I just had a client the other week say that they couldn't move in winter. And when I questioned them more, they're like, well, moving companies don't work in the snow. It's too slippery. Yep, moving companies work all year round. Many of them prefer the winter months because it's easier to dress up warm than battle plus 30 when you're doing really physical work. So moving companies work all year round. There's nothing to stop you from moving in winter because you're going to be sitting back watching. You're not doing the act of moving. And there's also senior move managers. So they help with fully packing, moving, and then unpacking in the new home. They're awesome because in a matter of 48 hours, everything is done. And it's kind of a big relief and great for those that either don't have a lot of energy, have some health issues, or just really busy professionals that can't spend weeks or months getting their new home set up. Professional organizers can help you in the downsizing. So oftentimes in this stage of life, we're moving from a larger home to a slightly smaller home, and juggling the furniture and what can fit and what can't fit can be difficult to manage. So professional organizers can help you with that downsizing process so that you're not trying to fit too much stuff into your new home and struggling with space. And then there's lots of storage and packing solutions. There's bin removal. There's lots of places to donate items you no longer need. So it's important to understand all these services and how they can help you prepare for a move. Now, this is my top secret tidbit. If you are looking for an investment opportunity, adult bungalow villages are where it's at. So I kind of laugh at all the investors these days building the tall, skinny homes in the older neighborhoods with the large yards, because our population is aging dramatically. Our number of families is falling significantly, and buying an infill, it is going to be hard to sell those 3-story infills in the next 20 years. With an aging population, no one is going to want to walk up 3 flights of stairs to their bedroom. However, in adult bungalow villages, a lot of these were built in the early 80s and 90s. That's when they became most popular. Many have been original owners still. Many have not been renovated or updated, so it's quite common that you're going to find these homes fairly dated looking. There are some that have been renovated, there are some that are newer complexes, but you definitely have to do your research. But most people moving out of them are not in health situation or capacity to do massive renovations. Most of the people moving into them are not in the position to do renovations. So if you are over the age requirement of the building and you can purchase an adult bungalow to renovate, it's a great investment opportunity to flip that home and sell it, because many of our baby boomers want a completely renovated home, but not willing to put in the work themselves. So if you're perhaps into those early age groups and you're not ready to purchase an adult bungalow to live in, it's a great investment opportunity for you. I do stress with adult bungalow villages, even if you only have one car, try to purchase a double car garage, just because it is going to be far easier to sell in the future. The single car garages, at least at this time, do take a significant amount of time to sell. So you want to be careful with that purchase. And whether you're going to flip or renovate it, you want to make sure that you can get the value out for the quality of renovations you're doing. So plan your renovations carefully. And then the other trend that I'm seeing of investors is to purchase an adult bungalow, rent it out, and then move into it in 10 or 15 years when you're ready. And so even if you're not ready quite yet, the nice thing is you can take the time to find the right village for you that you want to live in the future, purchase it, but rent it out for the meantime, because there is a large portion of our aging population that isn't in a position to purchase a home, but is happy to rent in an adult bungalow village. And oftentimes, I'm going to say often, but not always, an older adult renting can be a little bit easier on your home, generally not the parties. You do have to watch for cleanliness and hoarding tendencies and mental health issues, but generally it can be a really good landlord rental situation when you're renting to someone who is older. So that's my tip. If you're looking for sort of what's next hot in investing, it may be adult bungalows. You can be ahead of the trend. So for those that are thinking of getting started and wanting to look into adult bungalows, definitely I can help you set up a search website that's going to filter out all the adult bungalow villages that work for you. And we're going to do a search in a way that pulls out both homeowners associations as well as condo types, unless you know there's one specific one you're looking for. We'll work on figuring out your timeline. We'll figure out the best plan in terms of that buy and sell option for you. And we'll really research all the options before you are making an offer. And really, I'm here to make sure that you can buy with confidence. You stay in full control of the decision making along the way, but you've just got helpful assistance to give you guidance and keep you on track. So I have a little bit of the benefits of working with me as a buyer. You do get a free home buyer guide and workbook to get you started. I do help with any referrals and recommendations that you need. We plan showings on your schedules. I'm there at your home inspections, and you have full coverage and assistance from my team when I'm not available. I do have 2 free guidebooks you can sign up for on my website to receive either by email or mail. I have a right sizing guide for those that are starting to downsize in life. And I do have a condo buying guide that is relevant even if you're looking at an adult bungalow condo style development. You can sign up for those on my website at jolynsellsedmonton.com. And then also on my website, there is the video resource area where eventually you'll be able to see this recording as well as any others. You can also sign up for my once a month newsletter where there's a fabulous $200 gift certificate to be won each month. to different local services around Edmonton. So do check out that newsletter if you just want to keep an eye on what's happening in the market and things you should know. So if you're ready to explore options, I'll leave my contact information here for a minute. Excuse me, too much talking already. It's time for you to do the talking with questions. So feel free to call or email me with any questions at any time. And remember that as a buyer, generally there's no costs to using my services. Generally the seller pays for all of my fees. So give me a call, drop me an email, drop me a text, and I'm happy to help explore what you're looking at. So I'm just going to get this stopped.